All right, we are live. Sunny days in Flushing, 9-2 in the Grimace era. A lot of good, some bad. Bass, start us off. What's the bad in Metsland right now?
Well, 5 minutes ago, or I guess 7 or 6 minutes ago, DeCobo tweeted out Edwin Diaz has officially been suspended after the sticky stuff situation, I guess we'll call it, that happened in last night's game. And assuming that he doesn't appeal it, he will be out until July 6th. Now, it's not the worst thing in the world, but it really dampers, it really hurts us for this Astros and Yankees series. Now if we can kind of tread water through that and get through those two series, I think we're in a good place because we can play with a 4-man rotation heading into the National Series just because of the day off today, the day off Friday, so we can play with that extra bullpen arm. But we have to make it through these two series at least with our head above water. We don't have to be doing amazing, but we need to tread water there.
I mean, I was talking to somebody at my firehouse about it. If the Mets could come out of this 10 games at like 6-4, like with Diaz out, I think I would take that. I know, I guess that's kind of aiming low, but as bad as the Yankees lean, the Astros have been kind of up and down, but it looks like they're on their way back up. And then it's Nationals Pirates, right?
Yeah, Nationals Pirates, I'm not worried about at all. I think the key really is getting through the Yankees and the Astros series. And I don't think the Astros haven't been amazing this year. I think they're like 5 games below 500, right around there. And obviously the Yankees have been the Yankees. But I could easily see us taking one from the Yankees. I could see us winning the series from the Astros. And I think the fact that we had the off day today and on Friday, like I said, and we're able to get that extra bullpen arm because we don't have to worry about having 5 starters for those 5 games really benefits us. And we could pull up an extra bullpen arm. We could send McGill down. And that really helps with the bullpen management. Going into the Nationals Pirates series, we're going to have to lean on our starters a bit more. But I'm fine with that against two teams that I'd say definitely, while our records are similar, I'd definitely say they're a step below us.
So outside of what's now happened with Diaz, it's been a couple weeks, probably a week or two, since we've last been on. Grimace knows out the first. Everybody knows what happened at that point. Mets are 8-2 in that time period. What they're doing, do we believe, A, is it sustainable? And B, is it something, can we be better than this, right? And for me, I think the short answer is yeah, I think it's sustainable. They're not doing it, they're not winning games on crazy freak things, robbing home runs and, things that don't happen every day.
Yeah.
They're a combination of small ball and a few different guys putting the ball over the fence each night. Lindor, right? This is, you were beating the drum on it forever while I was getting impatient. This is a lot of what we've seen, right? The weather heats up, so does he. Nimmo has been fantastic. Harrison Bader has looked phenomenal.
Alvarez is back.
JD Martinez seems to be an RBI machine. If he's not putting it over the fence, he's knocking in whoever else is on base, which is huge. I mean, you could argue he's maybe been our best offensive weapon consistently. I mean, from where the season started to now, or rather when he came in, whatever it was, a month and a half into the season. The guy has been a breath of fresh air. He's been, and this is why it's I've been saying JD Martinez probably for 3 years now. I mean, those last 2 years in Boston, he was on the trade block. Last year he was a free agent. This was a guy that we need. This was somewhat of what we thought we were going to get in Vogelback, and we did.
No, I'd say this is a lot more than we thought we'd get with Vogelback. But before I get into answering your question there, I want to shout out Chris at CPNY Sports on Twitter. Usually pops around in our chats a bunch and in our streams almost all the time, and he goes live a lot. He's really good. And to answer your question, I will be down in DC for the 4th of July game with my girlfriend. So I'll definitely reach out to you then, and hopefully we can link up. But that being said, yeah, I mean, this Mets team, what they've been doing, this extent, I don't necessarily know if it's sustainable, but winning games and playing above 500 is 100% sustainable. We saw this in spring training, and we kind of thought this would be the case earlier on in the season, and it was until about the end of April, beginning of May, when they really started to get into that heavy slump. Everything's been clicking for them on offense. I mean, your big time hitters are performing, and all the stats that everyone was crushing them on are now starting to rise. We can talk until we're blue in the face about what the stats mean, but everyone is producing. 1 through 9 is producing, well, except for Jeff McNeil, but that's a whole separate thing. But then also to have third base not be a black hole anymore, with Vientos producing there, something that we didn't necessarily see coming. Alvarez coming back and the catcher spot being not only productive at the plate, but the pitching staff is much more comfortable throwing to him, to the games he calls, the defense he provides behind the plate. And then to have the flexibility in the outfield, guys like Tyrone Taylor, Harrison Bader, I know you love him. It's just been something we haven't been able to take advantage of yet this year. And we had Alvarez been out since the end of April. The outfield has been great at the bottom of the order, but no one from 5 to 8 or 7 was doing anything. So they weren't able to produce on their end. So it's just good to see 1 to 9 production throughout the lineup.
I mean, as bad as it looked in April and May, the beginning of June, I guess, as bad as it looked, it never felt like they were, and I guess it's true to that saying, right? It never felt like they were that bad. I mean, they looked bad, but looking up and down the order, it never felt like they were actually that bad. And especially during that 2-3 week period, they were just losing games in the most chaotic fashion possible.
It was heartbreaking.
Meltdown 8th and 9th innings. Giving up. There was a night we gave up 5 runs in the 8th inning. I think it was against the Cardinals, against somebody. Just insane, crazy shit that doesn't happen every day. And that's how they were going down. And so, as frustrated with them, listen, I'm not going to say I predicted or I thought that this would happen, but I did expect it to get, better as the summer went on. And you know what you need, if you want to be a playoff team, it's certainly easier in today's format than it was 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
With the extra wild card team. But
they're only a game out of it.
You need 1 or 2 of these streaks throughout the season where you win 7, 8, 9, 10 in a row. You know what I mean? And then
I don't know if you necessarily need that, but to win to have a month where they're more
if
than
you're 10, that bad,
10 or more over 500. Well, yeah.
If you start as bad as the Mets did, they needed this streak for the idea of playoffs to be something that wasn't laughed out of the room.
Yeah, I mean, if this team wasn't so terrible during May, I mean, we're talking about a team that's probably within striking distance of the Phillies right now. I mean,
maybe
realistically, I mean, I don't know the exact record, but I know at the end of April they were right around 500, and then to be at their worst, 10 games under 500. So to basically play May, let's call it 10 games under 500, that's terrible. And now they're doing the exact opposite in June, and they're, I think, 9 games over 500 in June. Hopefully they can keep it up with these last 2 series to finish the month. But it's a testament to how talented this team actually is, because the lineup, it needed a few pieces. It needed Alvarez back, and it needed there not to be a black hole at third base, which Beatty was. And I love Beatty, and I hope he can come up and be have some production and produce, whether it's at third base, second base, right field, wherever you're going to put him. But we needed some production out of that spot in the lineup. And we've gotten that from Vientos. And then to have Alvarez come back, and that's really when things started taking a turn for the better. And I wholeheartedly agree that he's the heart and soul of this team. Without him, we are not going to be a good team. With him, we are a much better team. Not only in the field with the pitchers pitching to him, but also at the plate.
There was a game last week. I want to say it was. I don't think it was one of the Cubs games. I think it might have been one of the Ranger games where Torrens was playing and Diaz came in the 9th and Alvarez came in to catch for him.
I mean, look at
So-
I mean, look at what happened with Diaz. He came back at the same time as Alvarez, and I won't say he looked not like 2022 Diaz, but he didn't look like he was how he was looking in May.
Yeah.
You know, he looked good. He
Yeah.
looked good, and Alvarez just makes these pitchers more confident. He knows how to call games. He knows how to read the batters, and he knows how to call pitches to pitch to their weakness.
And he is a threat behind the dish to throw you out at second. I mean,
oh, he's got a cannon of an arm, and
Yeah.
he's great at blocking balls. He's an all-around great catcher behind the plate and at the plate. So just to
Yeah.
have him back was
he had a great heads up
like-
play. He had a great heads up play Saturday. Even though they lost, it wasn't even a pitch out. It was just whatever. It was a normal strike, and he just threw it out to Pete. And Pete, I don't know what the fuck Pete was thinking. Heads in the clouds, doesn't even get close to the tag. And then the
Was
next
that
play,
yesterday?
I think that was Saturday. Because I know I couldn't watch
Saturday, yeah, I
yesterday, and I
remember
remember
that.
watching this live, and I forgot. It might have been Tomas Nido comes up next and just ropes a ball into right, and Pete Crow Armstrong.
Yeah,
goes
2-run
all the way
double.
around.
Or,
It's like,
double.
that's a killer right there. I mean, they were going to lose that game anyway. I think the final score was like 11-1 or whatever it was. But like, that's just
But you hate to see
you
mental
can't have
mistakes
that.
like that.
You can't
Yeah,
have.
you
those
hate to see
mistakes.
mental mistakes like that.
Yeah. That's exactly what that was.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
So
Want to touch on Yuki's point real quick in the comments?
yeah, I gotta have the comments pulled up. Good thing you're looking here. Hey, Bass
Yeah.
and Zach, you think Tomas Nido ratted out Edwin Diaz? I mean, listen, if Tomas Nido knew something, then yeah, he should have. I mean, that's what I would want. Like if we
Yeah.
just got a guy from the Cubs and one of their guys was on something, was using something, yeah, absolutely, I would say something to the officials.
I don't want to speak to whether what Diaz was using was an illegal substance or not, but the facts that have been presented to us are that, I mean, Edwin Diaz, and you can take Edwin Diaz, what he said, however you want. You can't believe him wholeheartedly. I mean, I would love to, but obviously whoever is at fault is going to claim innocence. So, him saying that it's rosin and sweat means almost nothing. But the fact that the people in the booth were saying it was rosin and looked like rosin and sweat, the fact that Mendoza came out with a quote saying the umpire said it was too much rosin, it leads you to believe that it was rosin and sweat. And the fact that you're ejecting someone and then suspending them for 10 games for a substance that is not only legal but provided by the major leagues, it's ridiculous. I think there needs to be a better system in place.
I think the purpose behind this rule was like to get rid of spider tack, to get rid of other foreign substances that have not been in the game for 30 years. I mean, rosin, forget it. Rosin over 100 years. So like, that's to me just crazy. Like, telling guys they can't use sunblock, like just it's weird.
No, the sunblock is fine, not using, but if they're providing the substance, they should be allowed to use it. And there's an easy solution to it. Super easy. They test their hand and they think it's too sick. You say, hey, go wash your hand right now. Or they get their third-party guy on the field, swab his hands. Now you go wash your hands, and they go and they test that swab. If it comes back that it's spider tack or an illegal substance, they are now suspended 10 games. If it is proven to be rosin, then it's no suspension, but he continues to pitch that game. It's as simple as that. There should be no ejections unless it is without a doubt pine tar, spider tack, whatever you deem to be an illegal substance.
And I hate to bring any of this shit up because, like, I'll be honest with you. If this were the Braves, if this were the Phillies, if it were the Yankees, I'd be laughing in their face. And I'd be like, cheaters justice, you fucking cocksucker. So like, I'm not gonna sit here and act like, I wouldn't be the same way with them because I know I would. It's frustrating, and there's a lot of like, there's shit I just don't understand about this rule. Like, you're the MLB. You're
a shit that the MLB doesn't understand. That's the problem.
They don't. But they're never gonna hang their umps out to dry ever.
No, and the umps aren't going to hang the other umps out to dry when they go,
Exactly.
oh, you think this is a sticky substance? They're going to be like, fuck yeah, it is. They're going to back their guy. They don't give a shit about these players.
I mean, at the end of the day, like a lot of other things, you're a multi-billion-dollar industry. It's not hard for you to make your own sunscreen, right? Yeah. Like, or have one or two brands that are approved by Major League Baseball. And like you said, literally have test strips or something. I mean, we stick test strips in a pool to tell us if we need more chlorine in them. Like, is it not hard to think that we could test for something that's not sweat, rosin, or
that without a doubt,
I don't know.
Without a doubt, you can. Without a doubt,
I'm sure you can. I'm sure you can. But we rely on an ump who might have a bias, who might at this point now, with umps getting in trouble for gambling, who might have bet on that game, right? Like, I'm not going to throw that out there.
I don't even want to bring any of that up. But the fact that you're going based off of someone that is just touching someone's hand, and you're going to now eject and suspend someone because of that. Come on. There's an easy solution to it, and it's you test, and then you test their hand if you think it's too sticky, and they wash them, they come back in the game. Simple as that. Period. Stop. And they're like refusing to do it for whatever reason, and it's super frustrating now that it's 3 of 8 ejections for 6. Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to bring up. What Yuki just said. 3 of the ejections, I thought it was only 6, but 3 of 8 had been Mets, and you constantly see that. Players are being asked to wash their hands when it's sticky stuff. So it's like all these pitchers should be given the chance right away if they think it's too sticky and they don't 100% know it's spider tack or pine tar. You tell them wash your hands.
Yuki brings up a good point of a pre-tack ball. I know in Japan they do that. In Japan,
they do in the major leagues. The problem is
but
the
it's literally. But you know what they use in the major leagues?
It's mud.
It's mud from a fucking river in New Jersey.
In Jersey,
like in the NBP in Japan, they pre-tack the balls.
Yeah,
and everyone just needs to adjust to that. Like that's
100%.
the way it goes in that league. They all adjust to it, and no one's allowed to have anything on their hands. I mean, if that's what we're gonna do, fine. But it's just got to be something uniform. And this is just like this is the last thing that I'll bring up with it. Exactly, It's consistency. I think we just want to see uniformity across the league with it. But listen, it is what it is. We're losing Edwin for 10 games. That sucks, but life goes on.
We have these 2 off days. Take advantage of it. Send down Tyler McGill. Call up an extra reliever, and tread water. 3-2, 2-3 against the Yankees and the Astros. I'm very comfortable with either of those numbers.
Yankees are coming to town. They've lost what? Probably 3 out of their last 6 or 3 out of their last 5.
They lost. I think 2 to the Braves, and they lost 2.
They lost 2 out of 3 to the Orioles.
Do they play the Braves tonight?
No, I think that they are off.
I'll check right now. But yeah, they're in a bit of a cold spell. Giancarlo Stanton's injured, and they just traded for our old buddy, our old pal, JD Davis, to be their starting DH against David Peterson, I'd presume. Yeah. And it should be interesting. Obviously the Yankees have an insane team, and I think positionally wise, when you look at it, compared apples to apples, I think the Mets have, kind of beat them position to position, but they have the top end stars that we don't in Juan Soto and Aaron Judge, who are both perennial MVP candidates, and Garrett Cole, who's the best pitcher in baseball. Granted, right now he's coming back off of elbows discomfort.
His last outing, I want to say, was like 60 pitches.
It was his first
outing back. That's what I'm saying. His first outing back.
4 innings, three and change, and he wasn't amazing. I think it was 3 innings, and it was 3 runs.
4 innings.
4 innings, 3 runs.
I'm not sure how many runs here, but 4 innings and a 4.5 ERA. So whatever that is, probably.
Yeah, you just said it. Yankees are 3-7 in their last 10, so we're kind of catching the Yankees at a perfect time for us.
Yeah.
Obviously we're getting hot, they're getting cold, so hopefully we can sneak. We can win 1 and maybe sneak out 2.
Listen, if you can sneak out 2, the Mets right now are 37. They're 37 and 39. You sneak out 2 here against the Yankees, and you're a 500 team going into that Astro series with a day off in between to rest up, and so that would be really big. That would be obviously best case scenario going into the weekend. That would be tremendous.
Yeah, agreed. And I think it's something. Winning 1 is the necessity. I think winning 2 would be just like a cake. It would be gravy on top, because I think just going into this Astro series with a win against the Yankees is going to feel like you hit the lottery. Winning 2 rather would feel like you hit the lottery, and would just really carry this hot streak. Yeah. Hopefully through the rest of this month and into the next. And the Yankees are scary, but who are we going against? Cole and Gio. Obviously, Gio's been
really good.
He's been amazing.
He did get banged up his last outing.
was against the Orioles, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So look, hopefully we catch him in a downward slide. But Cole coming back, I'm not overly scared of him. Do what you've been doing. What they've been doing great is they've been getting to guys early and they've been making them throw pitches. Look at yesterday. Who was it? Ahmad. They went against the Cubs and they were able to just kind of take a stop. And they were able to just kind of, scratch and claw their way, at him. And then finally, bang, they're up 3-0.
Do you take any stock, or I shouldn't even say take stock. Is there anything to question of why Sevi didn't go against the Yankees and why they moved him and they put because it was Peterson's spot in the rotation to go Sunday night against the Cubs, and they swapped that to have Sevi go first. And then, do you think that was something strategic? And I'll explain this. So, if you lose to the Yankees, us emotionally, that sucks. But in the standings, it really means nothing. Not that it means nothing, but it's a loss. Now, beating the Cubs helps you with that tiebreaker. That's a team that you're battling one of the wild card spots. Do you think that was the rationale, or do you think they just wanted to take emotion out of it with Sevi? Do you think Sevi asked for it? Because I was curious about that. Why would they do that? Sevi's he is our best pitcher right now.
Well, my big thing is Yuki just hit on something that I didn't even know. The Yankees have been bad against lefties. That definitely probably played a huge part into it. That played a huge part in it. I think
maybe we should just have you on the show.
Yeah, you take over.
Let us know in the comments if you have a mic and a headset, and maybe we'll get you on the next show.
A mic and a camera.
You've been very mic and a camera because you've been very quick here.
But I think getting Severino to pitch against the Astros too is probably a big part of it. Trying to get him on the weekend series, and not just have it be against the Yankees and then that extra day off, and then when would he pitch next? Probably the second.
You're able to squeeze out.
You're able to get him against the Cubs, the Astros, and the Pirates, not just the Yankees and the Pirates or the Nationals. Right. So they're able to get that extra game out of him, and he's been our best pitcher. Could also be. What's it called? I'm too busy pitching for the Padres. That threw me for a loop, and kind of.
That's hysterical.
Yeah. We could be showcasing Severino for the trade deadline. Who knows? There's been word that the Mets are willing to move some of their pitchers on 1-year deals to get guys like Christian Scott and Jose Butto back up here. Now, I think that's
the wrong guy to move, though.
Well, no, I don't think that's the guy to move, in my personal opinion. I think unless they're completely out of it, then you move them. But
yeah, of course.
I think the guys to move are Minaya and Quintana. Minaya, you'll probably get a little bit, a good decent bit. Quintana, you're going to get something small, maybe just a very young minor league or whatever it may be. I think just for making room for Scott and Butto would be maybe the other option, but
Scott's got to come back full time.
At this point, I don't want Sevy gone. Sevy's been awesome. So
now I'll be honest with you. I don't know that Sevy's a guy I want to sign long term, but in terms of this year, if as long as we're in it, I want Sevy on the mound. I want him getting the ball every 5-6 days.
I think I was kind of on the same page as you earlier in the season, but the more and more I see him pitch, the more and more I'm on the side of signing him to a somewhat long-term deal. He's 30 years old, so I'm not signing this guy to an 8, 9, 10-year deal, especially starting pitcher, but somewhere floating around the $25 million range at somewhere between maybe 3 to 6 years, I'd be very comfortable with. Obviously, 3, you're probably getting the higher end, maybe 27 a year. 6, you're getting the lower end, 21, 22 a year. I think we need some cornerstone pieces, and we can't just throw out Senga and rookies next year. We have to go in with someone else on this roster who's a veteran. We need someone with term that's on this roster aside from Senga, and that hopefully will be Severino. I think going in out there with anyone else would be kind of a mistake. Maybe Peterson, but other than that, you're maybe looking to get a big fish in free agency, and then you're probably running out Scott, Butto, maybe
At that point, maybe Hamill is ready.
I don't even know about Hamill. I think Sproat. They have guys that are just flying up the system, like Sproat, Jonah Tong might maybe have a chance next year. Probably not, but have a ton of guys that are really just showing like top tier stuff.
Talent, yeah.
Yeah, so just I think the big thing is getting room. We need Burns and Max Fried for 2025. One or the other, or a Walker Buehler I'd be happy with. I think they need to go out and get a big fish there.
Max Fried, I don't know. Maybe the Braves still have like naked pictures of him in high school or something, because I don't know how else guys on the Braves signed for like the same amount of money a steam fitter in New York City makes. Like I don't really get it, but they do that. And then in terms of Burns, I thought that he had signed an extension in Baltimore.
I don't know. I thought
Corbin Burns was traded to Baltimore, right?
Yeah, I don't think so.
I want to say
word about it,
an extension. But listen, who knows? But the offseason's a long time away. Right now,
let's get back to the Yankees. Yeah.
Let's get we're right in the thick of it. What's one thing you want to see throughout this series? Tuesday and Wednesday. What's one thing you want to see? Outside of obviously, you want to see the Mets win.
I think the Mets are at their best when they're at their working counts. They're being selective at the plate with their pitches. Not overly selective to the point where they're just kind of letting their pitches go, but selective to a point where they're waiting for their pitches to hit and they're willing to fight through some nasty pitches, foul balls off, and really just work these guys deep. I mean, Cole, someone who just came back from injury, is going to be he's not going to go deep. He's needs time. So getting into that bullpen early, the Yankees bullpen that hasn't been amazing, would be a big plus. I think Gil had a bad start. He's still young. Getting to him early can maybe rattle him, and I think that's a big thing for this Mets team. You need to get points on the board early too for Minaya and Peterson. I don't trust these guys to go incredibly deep. I don't trust these guys to maybe to keep the score too low. So I think the offense needs to jump out.
If you get 5 out of Peterson, you're happy at this point.
I think just getting these guys some early run support and letting them pitch loose and not have to be so stiff and rigid and think they have to be the one to beat the big bad Yankees. I mean, it's got to be a complete team effort, and it's obviously going to start with our pitchers because we're home, but I think getting this offense getting out to early leads is going to be key to the series. You can say that about any series, but I think specifically against a team like the Yankees would be big.
I've always thought this about Cole, and Cole's phenomenal, not taking anything away from him. Last year, hands down, best pitcher in baseball. As we said, he's slowly working his way back in. There's going to be a second start. But yeah. I think typically with Cole, he is the type of guy, if you could get to him early, you could shut him down very quick. Like something about him, if he's got a bad – it's very rare, I think, at least when I watch him, where if he gets off to a rough start, he's able to clean it up. If you could kind of get in his head, and there's something about him playing against the Yankee rivals. And we're not really – it's more of a fan rival than anything else.
Yeah.
But like Garrett in Fenway is awful. Garrett, when he's got to play the Astros, is awful. When he plays Tampa, is awful. Like there's something about him, and that's like my knock on him is like I've always attributed it to like when the lights are the brightest. And listen, the lights were bright last year and he shined, but he's one of those guys. If you could hit him early in that first, second inning, if the Mets could throw 2-3 runs on the board early, and that's kind of been a trend throughout this Grimace era that we talked about. Like if you're watching a lot of these games, there's some games where there was a game the other day they put up 4 runs in the first inning. They've done that
when they won 11-1.
Yeah, like so if they could have one of those games where in the first 3 innings it's a 5-1 score or something like that. I'm not saying it's locked up, but you could definitely get in Garrett Cole's head. And they're going to be quick of the hook on him. I mean, if anything looks off, they're yanking him. It's not about a night in June against the Mets for the Yankees. It's about October. In wherever they may be, Texas or Baltimore. That's what it's about for the Yankees.
Yeah, exactly. And Cole's somewhat not only is he gonna have a quick hook, he's a strikeout pitcher, so they're gonna throw more pitches just naturally. He's someone who's if he doesn't have his A stuff on, he's gonna be as that pitch count's gonna be inflated. Getting into that bullpen early is gonna be big. The Yankees don't have the best bullpen, and if we can get these starters out early, we don't necessarily have to chunk runs against them, which would be nice, but just getting them out of the game early is going to be key we can get some innings against these relievers who have not been amazing this year, it would be a big thing for this.
That
this
was
lineup.
a big part of the Texas and the Chicago series. Not to cut you off, the big part of those two series was the first games of those series. We were able to get the starting pitcher out of the game quick. I mean,
I texted you after that during that first game of the Texas series, and we only won that game, I think 2-1. And I said we got that starter early. That's going to be big to play for the rest of the series. And look what it did. I mean, yeah, they only took 2 of 3, but still, they went out and what that second game they came behind.
The second game 7-6.
7-6. And I don't even remember the third game, but again, just getting into the bullpen early, making these starters work, especially in some longer series where these bullpens are a weak point of teams. It's got to be a focus of the offense, not being overly aggressive to a fault, essentially, at the plate, and being selective and attacking pitches that you like, but also being able to spit on those ones that maybe you can do something with, but you're not. It's not something that you could drive 10 times out of 10 to a guy.
And then that second game, as we move on to Wednesday here, is Gil and
Lucas Gil, right?
I don't know. I've heard Gil. I've heard Gil, so I have no idea.
I don't know much about him. I know that just looking at his stats. From what I've heard, he's having an amazing year. And who was he there to replace? Was it Domingo Germán? No, it was Nestor Cortes, right? Nestor Cortes is out for the year, if I'm not mistaken.
Right? He pitched in 21 and 22 for the Yankees. I've never heard of him.
No, I've heard of him, but I don't know much about his game. He's been awesome this year, and I think just again a young pitcher who just came off a bad start, getting to him early, and trying to get through him and get to the bullpen. It's got to be a key thing, and then to flip it onto the Mets pitchers. I mean, Peterson and Minaya just got to keep us in it. Both of these guys are not known for going deep. Minaya in his last start against the Rangers, I mean, he labored through through what, 6? I think 5 1/3. I mean, that first inning was rough where he threw almost 30 pitches, or did throw 30 pitches. So just getting these guys through 5-6 innings is going to be key. This bullpen's going to be a bit short-handed, so trying to get as much out of them while also keeping us in the game is going to be huge, not only for this series, but also for the next 8 games after when we're without Diaz. Because we have, after this series, we have a day off on Friday, and then we have 3 against the Astros, and then it's right into the Nationals and Pirates series.
4 against
5 more games. Yeah, 5 more games without Diaz. So just really trying to do as much as they can to keep the bullpen as fresh as possible with being down a man. A man we can't even replace. He's been suspended.
And I mean, I think if you're able to win in this Yankees-Astros, tandem here, if you could go 4, well, it's 5 games. So I mean, shit, if you could go, I guess 3-2, you'll feel all right. If you could go 4-1 in that stretch, you'll feel really good on your way down to Washington.
Yeah, I mean, you're not afraid of Washington. You're not afraid of Pittsburgh. I think just keeping the vibes high and just confidence rolling, the hot streak rolling it would be huge, because I think it's expected to go into Washington and Pittsburgh and come out with, I'd say 5 out of the 9 games or 5 out of the 8 games is a bare minimum, if not more, hopefully. So just being able to at least keep our heads above the water through these two series here in Citi Field would be massive. Massive.
All right, Zach. Any closing thoughts here?
Not much. Let's just go out and beat the fucking Stankies.
All right. You heard the man. Believe in Grimace. Beat the Yankees. I guess after this Yankees series, we're going to try and go live Thursday.
Yep.
Recap that. Look ahead to the Astros. So we will see you all then. Until then, let's fucking go Mets.
I love you.
Yankees.